The mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. When thinking about fear, look fear straight in the eye, and it will disappear. The nature of fear is that people don't look at it. Look at it directly, and it will be gone.
You said the other day you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent. Yes. Can you tell us about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi?
We've encountered, there's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first, because it's such a long list. You have to actually prioritize the list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The DOJ has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already? I think the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week. With respect to the non-governmental organizations, fake NGOs, I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats, I want to be clear, there's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there because they sometimes throw the Republicans a bone to say, hey, be quiet about this. So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on. Mm-hmm. But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give billions of dollars to NGOs run by Democrats that then go through a whole network of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think the word NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous. It is remarkable that there is so much violence. You don't hear a single word from them about the actual violence happening against Tesla.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
How come you got billions of dollars and nothing happened?
Do you have a price tag on how much you guys are saving the American taxpayer just from Social Security?
Because like USAID was a huge.
I've noticed in the past you seem incapable of being risk averse. What kind of advice would you give to a young person whose fear of failure keeps them from taking risks that would actually enrich their lives, whether it's career or personal life?
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some of the anti-Tesla violence. Your car company.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it was a leftist dream come true. It was technologically advanced. The word of mouth was better than any car company, arguably, on the market. And now the left is trying to make it a pariah by tying their anti-Elon politics to violence. How do you talk the unhinged off the ledge? And how do you counter that violence that you're seeing at Tesla dealership?
Yes, it is remarkable that there is so much violence. You know, people have burnt cars, they've fired bullets into dealerships, they've scratched swastikas into Teslas of the innocent people that they're just going about their lives. They've done nothing wrong. And Tesla's done nothing wrong as a company. And so I find it ironic and incredibly hypocritical that the same Democrat politicians who would want to throw someone in prison for 20 years simply for watching things at January 6th, but not actually doing any violence. You don't hear a single word from them about the actual violence happening against Tesla. What incredible hypocrites they are. It's outrageous. I mean, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism. It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing and paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after, because the people who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they are the foot soldiers. Right. But we need to go after the generals, and we're going to do so. The president has made it very clear that we're going to go after those that are paying and organizing these violent attacks. Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
Yes. And hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes the penalties even more serious.
Yes, absolutely. These are serious crimes where the organizers and pushers of mass violence will go to prison for a very long time.
That's right.
And I hope they see this segment.
Okay, well, liberal Tesla lover here. My sister has 2 in her family, so have not thrown any Molotov cocktails recently. But I wanted to talk to you about what Doge has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Well, everything that Doge does is an open book. So I think the most transparent the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single Doge action is listed on the Doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up. They can raise that. Sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake. We'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious, and nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. We want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
When he keeps finding all of these companies that are getting like $1 billion here and $2 billion there, and all, like the Stacey Abrams one where they're going to give energy efficient appliances to poor people.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do? Like, what did you do? Like, there's a bunch of those. Like, what did you do? Like the high-speed internet one.
Yeah.
What did you do? How come you got billions of dollars and fucking nothing happened? Imagine if you were a private company and you had a segment. Like, imagine we were all a company and we're like, Francis, I think you should be in charge of figuring out how to do this with the phone.
I'd be like, we've already fucked you.
Yeah, trust me, I run a business with this guy. That's a bad idea.
I'm giving you $4 billion to get this done. And then I never talk to you again. I never check in. I don't go, hey, where's the fucking money being spent? What are you doing, man? How come the phone can't do this yet? I don't ask for any progress reports. You just keep getting money. This is bananas.
It's crazy.
And for anybody who doesn't want that to be more efficient, like, what are you working for? If you're paying taxes, what are you working for? You're part of your day is the running of this government. You're happy that it's being run like this? You're happy that billions are going to places that no one can you have no receipts? You don't know where it got spent? You have no idea? And that's legal?
It's sort of like, but I kind of think about it like this. It's sort of the equivalent. You know those direct debits that come out of your account?
Well, it's that, but then there's the fear that they're putting out there, which is the just fear that they're going to fuck up Social Security and they're going to fuck up Medicaid. And there's people that are relying on that and they're going to lose their service for they did no wrong. Now, I don't know what the story is with that. Like, I know there's people that have complained that the Social Security website has been down. It's been down a couple times, but I don't know if people are not getting their benefits. That's what everyone's afraid of, that the vulnerable people, the people that we should be protecting with these social programs that we all agree with, those are the people we have to protect the most. We have to make sure that there's no disruptions. You got to make sure before you do anything, there's no disruptions. You know, before you shoot the bad guy, make sure he's not holding a baby. You can't like when people are on Social Security, man, they're fucking, if they're, that's not a lot of money. And so, you know, they don't have any money in the bank probably. And they probably have it all budgeted out to get on that check. And they're probably real frugal with their food choices. And that's a rough life, man. And if you cut that off for 30 days, 90 days for people.
I remember when I was teaching in schools that were super deprived, where the kids, a lot of them would come to school, they didn't have food in their bellies, etc. And there was an agency in the UK called CAMS, which is Child and Mental Health Services. And I remember that we had so many kids who had problems, psychological problems, particularly if you grow up poor, deprived. You know, you'd seen horrible stuff when you were a kid. You had, you know, maybe like a brother who got involved in gangs is now in prison, a father who was never there. There were so many kids who had this need, and they had conditions which were undiagnosed, whether it's something like dyslexia, you had some form of PTSD. And you had this agency which brought counselors in, which brought psychologists in and psychiatrists who were experts at dealing with kids. I just remember, because of austerity, this agency got cut after cut after cut. And you're looking at it and you're going, like, I understand we need to cut. I understand we're running at a deficit. But there needs to be balance as well, because when you're looking at those type of agencies, they're really important.
Yeah.
Also, if you invest that money and you're able to support those kids, they're far more likely when they leave school to be a healthy, happier member of society that's going to contribute tax pounds sterling or tax dollars.
Do you think it's a reasonable request to have something that does that? Something that helps feed poor kids, helps educate people, like genuinely helps communities all around the world, completely separate from all the other stuff that agency does? Because like USAID was a huge, gigantic organization of a bunch of different entities, right?
Which did some good stuff and
a lot of crazy shit. But if I was someone who was, nefariously running things, I would definitely mix up my regime change operation with like giving food to poor people. So like, look, we're doing great stuff. Look at all the great stuff we're doing. Here's what we're highlighting.
You don't like feeding poor kids?
Yeah. And no one even knew that they had this enormous budget that was is it bigger than the Pentagon's? Was USAID's budget bigger than the Pentagon's? No?
No, it's what is 0.6% of the budget or something.
What was USAID's budget?
Yeah, it's like 0.6% of the budget. 21.7 billion for the fiscal year of 2024, 0.3% of the $6.8 trillion overall federal budget.
6 point what trillion? That's so crazy. Yeah. So you just think just that money, how much of that money is fraud and waste? At the very least, someone needs to go in and audit and go, hey, well's good. Giving these people arms because you want them to overthrow that government, that's probably not so good. Or maybe it is good.
Or maybe it is good.
Maybe it is good. That's the problem. Yeah. It's like you talk to guys like Mike Baker, who is very kind of stoic about all this. It's like, you have no choice. Like, you need to get these people on your side in certain parts of the world, and this is just how it works. And if you don't do that, then China does or Russia does, and it gets even worse for you.
Yeah, because that's also the thing we don't get.
Okay, this Nigerian journalist. Poor Nigerians are so industrious. They still run some of the best fucking scams. Nigerian journalist falsely claims USAID budget larger than CIA, State Department combined.
That's a big lesson, and if you're going to lie, make it believable. You know what I mean? Don't go too big.
Isn't it crazy that as much money as they got, what was it? How much billion?
21
billion. Still, it's a pittance.
It is.
That's a pittance compared to the other things.
You boys have a lot of money, Joe.
Isn't that nuts? And we just keep making it.
Yeah.
Do you know what's bigger than your defense budget? Your interest debt on the interest.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
And this is a difficulty about it, because we've got the same problem in European countries as well. It's like, you're not only going to deal with this by dealing with fraud and waste. We're actually going to have to not do some shit that we really want to do, because we have been spending like crazy everywhere. And when we, like in the UK, when I look at those, I think we need that in the UK 100%. And some of it is going to have to, it might overreach, then you pull it back. You got to make sure it's done properly. But we're not going to get away from this, man. We have been living beyond our means for decades now.
Well, you can't have no oversight of government spending. I think we're learning that. I think you have.
That's controversial, mate.
I go crazy to say that that's controversial, but it is controversial to say. And I would be saying it no matter who the fuck is in charge.
That's right.
It's just, as human beings, you can't let people have that much control over your money, because they'll just decide they need more. And what do they always want to do? Always. They want to raise taxes on the rich. What they never want to do is slash inefficiency and waste, because that's what pays them. That's their fucking system. They're locked into this system. They're the last people who should be commenting on it, because it's literally what pays you. Like, I can't trust you. Like, you need more taxes? Is that what you need? Dad, I need more fucking money. These fucking business assholes are trying to fuck me, and I'm going to buy them out now. Like, okay, son, here. We'll cut you a check. Get the fuck out of here. They're completely insane.
Elon Musk's special government tenure is coming to an end, 130 days, I think another month. Yeah. Do you want him to stay longer, or is it time for him to go back to running his companies in Europe?
Well, I think he's amazing, but I also think he's got a big company to run. And so at some point he's going to be going back. He wants to.
You want to keep him around?
But, I'd keep him as long as I could keep him. He's a very talented guy. You know, I love very smart people. And he's very smart. And he's done a good job. You know, Doge we found numbers that nobody can even believe, like 400 billion, 500 billion. It could be close to $1 trillion by the time they end on different things. And he's led the charge. And you've seen a lot of his people. And these are people that joined up. I would say the high IQ people. I like high IQ people. And they've done a great job. No, at some point, Elon's going to want to go back to his company. I will say he's got, despite the way he's been treated, so he's an American patriot, but the way he's been treated with Tesla is just terrible. It's just terrible. In fact, you have a Tesla, and you love it. A lot of people are buying Teslas, I think, and I hope they are. He should not be treated that way. He's done an incredible service to our country.
As he goes back, is Doge going to keep operating even without Elon here?
Well, I can't tell you that. I can say this, that a lot of the people that are working with Doge are the secretaries, you know, the heads of the various agencies, and they've learned a lot, and they're dealing with the Doge people. I think some of them may try and keep the Doge people with them, but, you know, at a certain point, I think it will end. But they have also gotten a big education, and they're doing a really good job. There'll be a point at which the secretaries will be able to do this work and do it very, you know, as we say, with the scalpel. And that's what we want.
If you want to know how nuts these people have got, Elon Musk has sacrificed his business stuff for however long he's going to do this for no money. He's leading a team of people to try and reduce government overspending and waste. I wish he was doing that to the federal government in the UK. And what's his reward? All over America now, people torching Teslas, petrol bombing them, targeting people who are driving Teslas. I said on X last night, this is making me want to go and buy a Tesla, to which Elon replied, thank you, because I'm sure he's feeling a little bit vulnerable right now in terms of his business being actively targeted, and they're trying to destroy it.
And it's
because the guy,
the Democrats love the electric car.
These people used to love Elon Musk. They used to see him as the savior, the green energy guy, bringing energy, these cars to green energy cars to America. They all loved him. And now, because he has aligned himself to Donald Trump, now he's the enemy, and they can't crush him on policy. They want to crush him with violence.
Well,
I think it's
this
disgusting.
made me feel better. Only 100 people showed up to one of the rallies, at the Tesla plant.
But in New York, it was a big one.
And they've happened all over the world. I think it's going to backfire because he's trying to save us money so that we don't go bankrupt, so we can keep our country.
I thought the Brett Baer thing was fascinating.
So good.
We're really good, wasn't it, with Elon and all those other business leaders who have all given up their time. And the way they talked through what they're doing and what they're finding, the scale of the waste is actually terrifying.
I know.
And the idea that for exposing this and for saving Americans money, which is what they're doing, that you then become the devil who must be targeted, destroyed with violence, I think is a shameful moment for everybody on the left in America. And they've got to stop this right now.
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff they're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
This literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. This country's been great to us. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now. That work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border, they do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no ID.
It wasn't asleep. No. They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it, and Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through, on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already, that is already happening.
Valor CEO and Doge volunteer Antonio Gracias, the guy you just saw, was just with Musk in Wisconsin over the weekend. He joins us from the North Lawn. Antonio, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
That's a jaw-dropping number. Where did all those people come from?
Well, it made my jaw drop too when I saw it. We were in Social Security looking for fraud, waste, and abuse, and to do that, we actually looked at the enumeration system, the system by which people get numbers in America. And we found that there were just about 5+ million of them that came to the country as illegals, were giving various forms of parole or allowed in the country, and then got through an automatic system, Social Security numbers, so they get into our benefit systems. And we tracked that through and found that they were on the benefit programs. And just because we were curious, we then looked to see if they were on the voter rolls. And we found in a handful of cooperative states that there were thousands of them on the voter rolls, and that many of them had voted.
That's crazy, because you cannot vote in a federal election, but I think in certain local elections you can. But, once you get a Social Security number, that helps you do a lot of stuff. I know, Antonio, part of this started with a program from, I think, 2017 that got started, where if people came into the country and they were authorized to work, they would automatically give them a number. But, Elon was talking a little bit about how 400,000 Social Security numbers were stolen. It was one person. What can you tell us about that?
That's an ongoing investigation, so I don't know how much I can tell you. But we did find, as we looked through the programs, a particular employee that had actually sent themselves Social Security numbers through their email for reasons we don't understand, but clearly nefarious.
Yeah, it does sound like it. So let me ask you this, Antonio. Have you figured out, you saw these millions of people, non-citizens, on the Social Security rolls. Did they get benefits?
Yes, we actually tracked them through the benefit programs. We found them in virtually all the benefit programs. And one statistic for you is we found 1.3 million of them on Medicare.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to those people?
Look, we referred people that were registered to vote, which is a federal crime, and people that voted to ICE, to DHS, and to the DOJ. They've committed to prosecute. And I think it's super important to point out here that none of this would have happened without President Trump. I mean, President Trump had the courage to allow us to go across databases. He signed an executive order. It's never been done before, where agencies could talk to each other and databases could talk to each other. That allowed us to connect all this data to find these people across the system, across the benefit systems, all the way to the voting records.
Yeah.
It really took a lot of courage.
Hey, Antonio, you know, you're a big shot business guy. You know what you're doing in your business. When you went in, I can't think of the last time somebody essentially audited the Social Security Administration, aside from the federal government. But, you know, they've got all these kind of antiquated, crazy rules. Like, I know you uncovered millions of people over the age of 120 and just recently kicked them off the rolls, right?
Yes, that's correct. We did an audit of the entire system, enumeration system for Social Security. And look, the reality is the people in the government know this. There are many, very good people that are helping us. We couldn't have found this stuff without them. We needed them to point us in the right direction, and then we looked at the data. So, you know, if you ask people the right questions, they will give you the answers, and they want to help.
Yeah. Antonio, exit question for you. Given all of the abuses you've already found and these people who are getting federal benefits who should not, do you have a price tag on how much you guys are saving the American taxpayer just from Social Security?
I mean, look, it's in the billions. You know, you saw the fraud on the phone lines itself. That was about $1.5 billion. And I would guess at Social Security already we're north of $10 billion.
Okay. Well, the meter's running. Antonio, thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for volunteering.
Thank you, sir.
If you enjoyed today's video on inner vision, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below.